at least how I envision it. I envision it with you're with a guy, maybe y'all like sitting really close together on the couch, and he makes a move. You know, maybe he kisses your neck or puts his hand on your thigh or something, and you just kind of like smile or laugh it off or whatever, like not giving very obvious signs that you're uncomfortable, but just maybe, being playful or something. And maybe he leans over to get like, like really close to you, or maybe even like on top of you or something. You're just like, stop. And basically that continues for the next 20 something minutes, and y'all end up having sex. Like, there are a lot of women that consider that to be literal rape. And I've heard that so many times, and I've asked for context. I'm like, am I missing some part? And they're like, no, because the fact that I said no that first time, that means no.
I'm gonna be honest with you on that one, because I used to say that can't be like, it can't be rape, right? I used to say that,
Right.
but taking it in from the female perspective, like just listening to women being in a situation, it's like I can probably understand why you would say that, because I heard so many women say, well, this guy's, he might be bigger than me. He's sexually turned on. He's kind of getting a little more aggressive. Or I've heard a woman say, yeah, I kind of like pushed the dude off, and like he pushed my arm and I felt how strong he was. And I was like, it'll probably be better for me to just give in and try, instead of trying to like fight him. But then at the same time, on the other end of it, it's like, do you as people, do you just let somebody take over your body without a fight? See, and that's the thing that we run into, because we always, that's what, they tell us, growing up, if somebody hits you, hit them back. Do you just let somebody just take over your body?
Mhm.
Like, do you feel like you should just fight at that moment? Should I go out with a black eye?
As I
Is he
say,
gonna knock me out? Or, you know what I'm saying?
I
Or
said my piece. I really wanted to hear what Ashanti had to
what you gotta
say.
say?
I feel like in that type of situation, that woman probably crossed boundaries prior to that, right?
Okay.
So if she was like, hey, I'm not interested in having a sexual relationship with this guy, going to his house,
Yeah.
but I'm there. You know what I mean? Sitting on the couch, we close,
Mhm.
and I feel like that person just has a hard time probably establishing and maintaining those boundaries. But I think the initial crossing of boundaries was self-inflicted. I do. And I feel
I can
like it
agree with that.
landed them in a situation that they don't particularly care for. By definition, that is not rape. You know what I mean? It could be coercion in some sort,
I think that's actually how they define it, like coercion. But
yeah,
I guess maybe, if I can be candid for a second, I guess the reason I don't, it's very hard for me to even look at it even as coercion or whatever, is because I just think of how, I don't know, I feel like that's like playful. Like,
And
I
see that,
like when my
see
guy is
what
like,
you're saying
when
right
I'm like,
now.
stop.
it's
Like,
confusing.
It's confusing to men,
Yeah.
because if you're
yeah,
telling me to stop, but you smiling, it's like
right.
you're playing hard to get, because women are always saying we're playing hard to get because we don't want a man to think
Think we
we're
easy.
easy.
Yeah.
And then the man is like, oh, she gonna play hard to get, so I won't think she's easy. So now we're at this spot, we're at a crossroad, like, do I continue? Do I stop?
Mhm.
Well, I feel bad as a man later on in the morning that she may not be answering my phone calls anymore, or she's acting weird to me in the morning. She wasn't fully into it. She didn't want to cross that line yet. So now, as a man, I question myself too, because I want to know that I'm doing something that makes you feel good, and I'm not
Yeah.
crossing the line to be called a
Right.
raper man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And
I
I
want to be
just
that.
think, to the bigger conversation, there just has to be, like Ashanti mentioned, there has to be some, we have to draw some clear lines with these things, as difficult as it may be, because otherwise it's just always going to fall on the men.
Yeah.
And I have a brother. He is 23, he'll be 23 his birthday. He is a good dude. And I would hate for some girl who, after an embarrassingly drunken night or something, where she's, and they're both drunk, or, she's doing the whole half hard to get, half, okay, maybe I'll feel a little bad about this. I really did just meet him tonight.
Mhm.
And then my brother has to be labeled a sexual predator because you were being ambiguous in your signaling or whatever.
That's
like,
why I call it sexual remorse.
I think this whole thing really starts with just being sexually liberated. If the standard was that we are not promiscuous, we wouldn't even be there. And so, like,
Yeah.
I told you before, like, like probably months ago when I met the guy, and I went over to his house, and I'm not a very affectionate person just by nature. Like, I'm not a cuddle person. I'm not like, I want to sit up under my man kind of girl. I'm cool. Like, I don't mind engaging, but like, I'm just not that one. If we sitting down watching a game, I'm comfortable if we like this far apart. I don't feel like I need to touch you.
Okay.
And so, like, I'm dating a guy, and I already established, like, I'm not a girl that's having sex outside of a relationship. So if like we are not together, don't even expect it. And like, he was like on me, like trying to kiss on me, and I was like, you just don't even care that you're making me feel uncomfortable, do you?
Right.
And he was looking at me like, oh, I thought you liked it. No, I actually want you to take your hands off me.
And also, why would you think I liked it when I obviously already told you that?
And so I'm real curt with it. I don't even care how you feel.
But
like,
that don't they go back to what you said already? Even though you said you're not having sex,
yeah.
why would you be over his house?
And see, I felt like I crossed that boundary because I usually am not we gonna chill at the house kind of girl. I really went over there like 30 minutes before I came here because he was like, I don't ever get to see you. I ain't seen you in a minute. And I was like, well, cool. I'll just swing by before I have to come do a podcast. But I do feel like I did definitely cross the boundary of my, like, I'm not chilling at your house. I don't want to sit at your couch.
And I definitely don't feel like past that, you definitely, but I'm glad you recognize that. I think men really look at that as a thing. Like, you are in my home, like, my bed is here, this is where, what I'm saying, it's like,
and he was trying to get me to drink. You don't want to take a shot? You don't want to drink a wine? No,
like, it's a very comfortable, at least for him, atmosphere. So he's probably feeling like, okay, she done came over, like, okay, she must be.
You don't want me to go by Publix and get you some Chardonnay, because that's what I'd like to drink.
Oh no, not trying to persuade you with the Chardonnay.
That goes back to fathers. And I think a lot of fathers have failed their children, not just men, not boys, not daughters, just children in general. And what I mean by that is the traditionalism that we had, where I remember my granddad telling me how he would date my grandmother. Dates would never be anything from the house. It was never going to no movies, never going to no lake. And of course, this is 1913, somewhere around there. And the date would consist of, when we go on a date, I come to your house. They had a swing on the porch. We would sit on the front porch, and I got to know your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters. And that's how we dated, right there on the porch. Everybody could see us. He said I didn't even go in the house unless they was having something to eat, but we sat right there on that porch, never touching each other, never behind any closed doors or driving her away in the car or anything like that. It was in that house. Could you
imagine if the world were still like that? Maybe not quite to that extreme, but even just the idea of like not having the expectation. Like, I think like there's just an expectation of anyone of like legal age. Like, if you just assume you're supposed to have sex. Like, I can remember even when I lost my virginity, like, I can just remember feeling like I just thought I was supposed to do it. Like, my friends had been having sex, and I'll never forget, it was my one friend. She had came to me and she's like, girl, such and such, we did something finally for the first time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sure it'll be soon for me.
Yeah.
And here I'm a girl talking like this. So imagine the pressure on young men, what I'm saying? And that could be, if you guys want, we don't have to, but that could be a good segue to the other thing we're going to talk about with the sexualization of these young boys. There's actually a teacher. So I'm from Lincoln. A lot of people from that area were sharing this. Man, the cop.
That's my homework. That's what I told about. Yeah.
Okay. I do know him. A lot of people from that area were sharing this. So I assume that some of them must have went to school with her, maybe not at Lincoln specifically, but either way, it was this clear lady. And she just got arrested for sexual misconduct or whatever with the student. And I'm telling you, man, you have to wonder, like, as a woman, and what you would even want sexually. Like, I can't imagine what a teenage boy could do for you. Like, I literally can't wrap my head around it.
Sex? What you mean?
No.
Do you? If you are a woman and you have an extremely high sex drive, a teenager would be right up your alley.
Guess what?
It's strictly. I get that, but it's strictly sex.
But I'm saying she sees the kids. She sees them in their worst. As teachers, we see teenage boys even in a even less mature light than like the outside person. When they're outside, maybe they might have this kind of persona. At school, them kids act like kids. Like I told my 10th graders today, I said, am I a 10th grade teacher or a 10-year-old teacher? You know what I'm saying? So when you see that, and if that could somehow
turn you on.
turn you on, honey, you are incredibly sick. But guess what? When we talk about SA, we don't talk about it from that perspective as often. And I have noticed that.
Yeah, like I said, if we talking about sex, because when y'all talk about it, like y'all can't understand it or getting turned on by somebody that's that young or in high school or the mental capacity, that's a full spectrum thing of how y'all look at men. But if you just boil it down to sex, and if you got a high sex drive as a woman, well, who's better than
Maybe
a
someone that's more available, that's not doing 9 weeks and they're obligated from 8 to 3 o'clock every day.
but maybe that person ain't got as high sex drive. That's what I'm saying. If the sex, we talking about just sex.
If you want to sleep with a teenager, why won't you just go for someone 19 that's not in college, just sitting around on your couch all day?
Maybe.
Why would you
That's
go
what I'm
for a
saying, like,
15-year-old?
This is not even like a 15-year-old boys and 16-year-old boys are, of course, you know, they've, you know, gone through puberty and stuff, but it's like I just feel like she said, even if you were gonna try to somewhat understand the pathology of it, it's like this wouldn't even be an ideal situation. Everything about it is gonna have to be secret, and it's gonna have to be very like just I can't imagine what enjoyment you would be getting. What are you gonna do?
Mm-mm.
Have them stay after school, pray nobody knocks on your classroom door in those 6 minutes that